Very good evening and welcome to News Tonight on Rajya Sabha TV, where we bring to you the biggest news stories of the day from India and across the world, with special focus on Parliament proceedings. My name is Aishwarya Kapoor. Let us begin with the headlines. Upper House adjourned due to lack of quorum after repeated disruptions. In the Lok Sabha, government demands apology from opposition for not allowing the House to function. Former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh calls note ban a mammoth tragedy. Government hits back at Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi for claiming he is not being allowed to speak in Parliament. On the 15th anniversary of the 2001 Parliament attack, Rajya Sabha pays homage to martyrs who laid down their lives in foiling the attempt of the terrorists. And South Korea's lawmakers impeached President Park Geun-hye over corruption scandal. If voters affirmed by country's constitutional court, Park will be the country's first elected leader to leave office in disgrace. Well, first up, news from Parliament. Well, government's decision to scrap import duty on wheat drew the opposition's ire in Rajya Sabha on Friday. Well, the opposition termed the move anti-farmer and demanded revocation of the order. The government, however, stressed that sufficient stock of wheat is available in the country and the decision was necessitated as domestic prices were inching up. No business could be transacted as the standoff over this issue led to several adjournments through the day.
The government's decision to scrap 10% import duty on wheat drew flack from a united opposition in the upper house on Friday. Leading the opposition charge, CPM MP Sitaram Yechury tendered a notice under Rule 267 seeking suspension of business to discuss the issue. Yechury alleged that the government's move reeked of ulterior motives of catering to the interests of multinational corporations. He also claimed that demonetization, coupled with the decision to scrap import duty, have added to the woes of the farmers that could lead to food riots in the country.
Demonetization, there may be food riots. In order to prevent that, they are allowing these sort of zero duty imports, which is shameful for the country.
Yechury's stand was corroborated by other members of the opposition as they asserted that the move will destabilize farm income.
The farmer has no cash for pesticides, the farmer has no cash for fertilizer, and you are telling the farmer, forget you, I am going to import the wheat.
सरकार से कहना चाहता हूँ, ये गंभीर मामला है, इसको वापस करिए और कोई ऐसा संकट नहीं है. अभी संकट जो आप खुद ही कह रहे हैं कि सरकार को इस मामले में किसानों का मामला है, क्यों बाहर के किसान को आप बाहर का वीट लाना चाहते हैं?
सरकार की जिम्मेवारी बनते ये जो फैसला लिया है और माननीय सभापति जी जो आपने कहा कि सरकार को इसको एग्जामिन करना चाहिए, इसको एग्जामिन करके दोबारा इसको पुनर्विचार करना चाहिए, नहीं तो किसानों का बड़ा भारी नुकसान होगा.
जो भारत के किसान हैं उनका कोई खरीदने वाला नहीं होगा और ये सरकार किसानों की बात करती है और किसान की हालत ये है कि नोटबंदी की वजह से वो कोई सामान खरीद नहीं पा रहा है, न बीज खरीद पा रहा है, न खाद खरीद पा रहा है.
The chair, however, disallowed Yechury's notice but observed that the government may examine the matter.
I will explain the delicate difference. Number one, I did not allow the motion to be moved. That is what I said. But I allowed you to speak and raise the matter. After hearing you, I said I am not allowing the motion to be moved, but I also observed that the government may examine it.
The government sought to allay the concerns of the opposition by assuring that sufficient buffer stock of wheat was available in the country. Government also claimed that the decision will benefit consumers and that farmers' welfare will not be compromised.
जब भी किसी चीज का दाम बढ़ता है, अपोजिशन के तरफ से हल्ला होना शुरू हो जाता है. हमने देखा है कि पिछले कुछ दिनों में जो गेहूं की कमी नहीं है, लेकिन गेहूं के दाम में कुछ वृद्धि के आसार होने लगे हैं और इसलिए एहतियाती तौर पर कंज्यूमर के दृष्टिकोण से हमने ये फैसला लिया है और ये फैसला कोई परमानेंट नहीं है.
मैं किसानों की ओर से हमारे पूरे सदन के सभी साथियों को और देश के किसानों को आश्वस्त करना चाहूँगा कि हमारी सरकार की जो व्यवस्थाएं हैं कि मार्केट इंटरवेंशन से जब भी किसानों का माल अब MSP के नीचे चले जाते हैं तो हम मार्केट में इंटरवेंशन करेंगे.
But the government's assertion failed to quell opposition's dissent. The Congress, SP, BSP and TMC members moved to the well-raising pitch against the government. 0 hour and question hour became casualties, even as the chair urged the members to allow the House to function. The notification to this effect was tabled by the Finance Ministry in Parliament on Thursday. It stated that the cut was to be effective immediately and with no end date. With inputs from Vishal Dhaya, Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, the issue of demonetization also resonated in Rajya Sabha on Friday. Well, a TMC MP Sukhendu Shekhar Roy claimed that 111 people have died due to the government's decision to scrap high-value currency notes. Now, Roy demanded that an obituary reference be made in the House, condoling the loss of lives in the issue.
I would also request the chair to another issue to take the sense of the House whether obituary reference should be made for the 111 people killed in the queue before the ATMs and banks.
And not only the upper house of parliament, well, opposition uproar disrupted proceedings in Lok Sabha on Friday. While the Congress demanded that a discussion be held, the NDA MPs demanded an apology from the opposition after the president's dressing down on Thursday. Now, with both the sides unrelenting, the House was adjourned till Wednesday. Lok Sabha was disrupted on Friday due to opposition uproar on demonetization. Citing the president's remarks on parliamentarians not letting the House function, the government demanded that the opposition render an apology for the disruptions. Question hour was washed out due to the verbal duel between the opposition and treasury benches.
The opposition कह रहे हैं हम अभी तैयार हैं 16 दिन उन्होंने व्यर्थ किया सदन का आज महामहिम राष्ट्रपति जी को भी कहना पड़ा ये तरीका नहीं है जब मेजॉरिटी सदन में भाग लेना चाहती है ये सारे लोग कांग्रेस कम्युनिस्ट तृणमूल वो डिसरप्शन कर रहे हैं इनको देश के जनता से माफी मांगना चाहिए.
The disruption forced repeated adjournments of the House.
House stands adjourned to meet again at 12 o'clock.
Before the House was adjourned for the day, Congress leader Mallikarjun Kharge said that they were ready for a discussion.
We are requesting for discussion. We are ready for discussion on this demonetization issue and its repercussions. उससे जो लोगों को तकलीफ हो रही है, लोग जो परेशान हैं, उसके बारे में हम चर्चा के लिए तैयार हैं. अभी होना, इसी वक्त होना.
The president had said on Thursday that Parliament is not a place for agitations and disruptions. With inputs from Pranav Goswami and Ravindra Shioran, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. Well, post-lunch business in the Rajya Sabha could not be conducted for want of quorum. Now the House shall meet on Wednesday.
The upper house of parliament was adjourned on Friday and private members' bills couldn't be taken up owing to lack of quorum after repeated disruptions in the first half of the day. Congress leader Anand Sharma raised the issue in the House.
Not the quorum is there, sir. So there cannot be any further discussion, sir. It's a futile exercise.
चलाने में भी आपकी भूमिका है, हाउस को एडजन करने में भी आपकी भूमिका है, और कोरम में भी आपकी भूमिका है, तीनों में है.
Against the requirement of a minimum 25 members, 21 members were present in the House. As per rules, at least 10% members of the total strength of the House are required to be present. The sanctioned strength of the Rajya Sabha is 245.
Honourable members, since there is no quorum, even after ringing of quorum bell twice, and therefore I am going to adjourn the House.
The chair then adjourned the House till 11 a.m. on Wednesday.
On Wednesday, the 14th of December 2016.
Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
And Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi today accused the government of not allowing him to speak in Parliament on the issue of demonetization. Now, he warns that an earthquake will come if he gets an opportunity to speak. Now, former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh also made a scathing attack on the government, stating that the demonetization decision will cause grievous injury to the honest people who earn in cash.
Continuing his tirade against the government, Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi dubbed the demonetization scheme as the biggest scam in the history of India. Speaking to media persons outside Parliament on Friday, Rahul said he was deliberately being prevented from speaking inside the House as he had a lot to reveal on the purpose behind scrapping old notes.
मैं आपको बता रहा हूं हिंदुस्तान का हिस्ट्री का सबसे बड़ा स्कैम है पूरा का पूरा मैं अंदर बोलूंगा मोदी जी बैठ नहीं पाएंगे If they allow me to speak in parliament you will see what an earthquake is going to come.
Rahul even claimed that the fact that the Prime Minister was not willing to sit inside Parliament showed his nervousness and unpreparedness.
पहले काले धन की बात की वहां से काउंटरफिट की ओर बहुत दौड़े काउंटरफिट के बाद कैशलेस में गए आइए अंदर आइए बात करिए हमारे साथ हम करेंगे बात आप करेंगे बात देश को पूरा पता चल जाएगा डिमोनेटाइजेशन क्या है किसको इससे फायदा मिला किसकी मदद हो रही है किसका नुकसान हो रहा है और ये क्यों किया गया है.
Adding weight to the opposition attack, in an article in an English daily, former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh warned of a ripple effect on GDP and job creation due to demonetisation. Calling it a mammoth tragedy, Manmohan Singh said that by declaring more than 85% of the value of money worthless overnight, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has shattered the faith that millions of Indians had reposed in the government of India to protect their money. The government hit back, saying a government that had presided over scams had no right to point fingers at others.
The 10 years of Manmohan Singh government saw only scam from 2G to Colgate to Adarsh to Antriksh to helicopter scam, countless scams. Mr. Rahul Gandhi, under the pressure of the scams of your own government, you don't make accusing finger against Narendra Modi government. Come on, have a debate. Now even the President has appealed to all the political parties, appealed to the opposition more. And I would appeal to Mr. Rahul Gandhi, please see your family heritage and come for a debate.
BJP leaders also accused the opposition of holding the parliament to ransom. 3 weeks into the winter session, and neither house has seen any significant legislative work due to protests against demonetisation. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, staying with the decision of demonetisation, but outside Parliament, the Supreme Court today sought the centre's response on the issues pertaining to its demonetisation move that came into effect on the midnight of 8th of November. It also asked the government as to what measures are being taken to reduce inconvenience to the common man. The Supreme Court asked the centre to respond by 17th of December.
The Supreme Court on Friday questioned the centre about the measures it had taken on the demonetisation step. The court asked the government as to why district cooperative banks were not allowed to accept deposits in old currency notes. It also asked why the 24,000 rupees per day limit order was not compiled with. In other queries, 9 in all, the top court asked whether the note ban decision was taken in absolute secrecy. Other questions pertain to the constitutional validity of the government's decision. Arguing for the centre, Attorney General Mukul Rohtagi told the court that the government had taken all the necessary steps to ease inconvenience of the general public. The court was hearing a batch of petitions challenging Prime Minister Modi's demonetisation move. The court will resume hearing on the 14th December. In a related development, the government told Parliament that a decision has been taken to print plastic currency notes for which it had initiated procurement of the material.
जो फेक करेंसी है उसको रोकना और जो करेंसी हम जारी करते हैं उसको ट्रैकिंग करना उसकी नंबरिंग और उसको तो इसमें जो पेपर करेंसी है उससे प्लास्टिक करेंसी में आसान होता है इसलिए प्रोसेस हमने ऑन कर रखा है.
The Reserve Bank has been for long planning to launch plastic currency notes after field trials. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, Rajya Sabha TV's team is travelling to get you the ground reality a month after the note ban. In the first report of the series, we investigate the government's claim of a cashless economy. Take a look.
Rajya Sabha Television's team left Ranchi in the afternoon heading towards Rourkela. On the way, we tried refuelling at several petrol pumps using our debit cards. But at every pump, we were denied fuel because they had no swipe machines.
लगने वाले हैं यहाँ तो बैंक को भी हम लोग बोले थे लेकिन बैंक वाला उस तरह का हम लोग को यहाँ तक अभी तक यहाँ सुविधा नहीं दी है. इसके चलते पब्लिक को भी काफ़ी परेशानी हो रहा है देखिए आगे तो बोल रहा है कि लगेगा करके सेल्स अफसर यहाँ के। यहाँ तो विशेष यहाँ नेटवर्क का भी प्रॉब्लम है, है ना, और यही सब प्रॉब्लम है।
After traveling about 150 kilometers, we found a petrol pump run by a private company that was accepting debit cards. But here too, the owner said sales have been hit.
बंद हुए हैं और अब पेट्रोल पंप पे भी चलना बंद हो गए हैं जी, तो उसके बाद सेल पे कितना असर पड़ा है?
उसका असर तो पड़ा है, पर यहाँ के लोग जो लोकेलिटी है वो काफ़ी कोऑपरेट कर रहे हैं हमें।
पहले जैसे ये बता रहे थे कि पहले आप दिन का 5000 लीटर तक तेल बेचते थे
जी,
अभी कितना बच रहा है?
अभी सर उसका तो असर काफ़ी पड़ा है ट्रांसपोर्ट पे, जिसके कारण 1000-2000 के आसपास सेल हमारा आ गया है।
पहले कितना होता था?
पहले एक दिन में 5 केल 5.5 केल तक हमारा सेल जाता था।
तो आप ये कह रहे हैं कि बिक्री आधी हो गई है?
बिक्री हाँ जी, उसका सेल में असर हुआ है।
Creating a cashless economy in rural India is a challenging task, not only due to less banking penetration in these areas, but also because of poor telecommunication.
To promote cashless economy in the country, government has announced many concessions and measures. But if you talk about rural India, facilities like petrol pumps are not able to provide swipe machines to accept credit card or debit card from their customers. Not only their customers are suffering, but these petrol pumps are also suffering huge losses. Their sales have gone down heavily in last 1 month. With cameraman Saroj Das, this is Shyam Sundar, Rajya Sabha TV, Simdega, Jharkhand.
And Rajya Sabha paid homage on Friday to the martyrs of the 15th anniversary of the attack on Parliament on 13th of December. The House recalled the supreme sacrifice by the security personnel in foiling the attempt of the terrorists. Memories of the cowardly 2001 Parliament attack on 13th of December came alive as the Rajya Sabha saluted the martyrdom of the security personnel who saved the symbol of Indian democracy that day. As soon as the House met for the day, Chairman Mohammad Hamid Ansari recalled the attack on Indian Parliament and paid tribute to the martyrs.
Honourable members, the 13th of December 2016 marks the 15th anniversary of the dastardly attack on Parliament House by terrorists. On this occasion, we recall the brave deeds of our security personnel, including 2 persons from the Parliament Security Service of the Rajya Sabha Secretariat, 5 Delhi Police personnel, and a woman constable of the Central Police Reserve Force who laid down their lives while preventing entry of terrorists inside the Parliament House building. A gardener of the CPWD and a camera person of ANI also lost their lives in the attack.
The House condemned the terrorist strikes and reiterated its firm resolve to fight terrorism with determination. Members stood in silence as a mark of respect to the memory of those who lost their lives.
The House joins me in paying homage to the selfless sacrifice of these persons and their dedication and devotion to duty. The occasion calls for unequivocal condemnation of growing menace of terrorism not only in our country but across the world, and the need for committed and concerted efforts to wipe out this scourge forever. We also reiterate our firm resolve to fight terrorism with determination and rededicate ourselves to protect the sovereignty and integrity of our nation.
5 security personnel of the Delhi Police, a woman constable of the Central Reserve Police Force and 2 security assistants of Parliament Watch and Ward Section died, preventing the entry of terrorists into Parliament House. A gardener and a photojournalist also lost their lives. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV. And in the other big story now, former Air Force Chief SP Tyagi has been arrested by CBI in the Augusta Westland chopper deal. All the details on that and much more after a short break.
ISRO's great strength is system management. For that, Professor Dhawan made me a scientific secretary ISRO. In fact, for our Vision 2020, I think Indian Express or something I described one line, saying that we look ahead, but you have to look how you go. We have not liberated education. Liberate it as we did for industry.
Watch Eureka with Dr. Y.S. Rajan, Honorary Distinguished Professor ISRO, only on Rajya Sabha TV.
Welcome back. Let's move on in the bulletin now. Well, a former Air Force Chief SP Tyagi has been arrested in connection with the alleged irregularities in the VVIP chopper deal. Well, the former Air Chief has undergone repeated questioning on the deal with Augusta Westland, in which kickbacks were allegedly paid to Indian officials and politicians to influence the contract for a dozen VVIP choppers. Now, retired Air Marshal Tyagi is accused by investigators in Italy and India of helping Augusta Westland win the 3,600 crore rupees chopper contract by tailoring specifications. Well, 5 people were killed after an under-construction 7-story building collapsed in Nanak Ramgura area of Hyderabad on Thursday. Now, 2 persons, including a minor, were reportedly rescued from the debris by the NDRF team. According to officials, several people are feared trapped under the structure. About 10 families, mostly labourers, were living in this building. Now, the Telangana government has announced an ex gratia of 10 lakh rupees to the next of the kin of those killed in the incident. Rescue operations are in full swing at the spot.
बिल्डिंग एक पैनकेक फैशन में गिरी थी, तो इसलिए रेस्क्यू वर्क बड़ा केयरफुली करना पड़ रहा है और अंडर कंस्ट्रक्शन बिल्डिंग है थी, फर्निशिंग हो रही थी उसकी, और अभी एक और शव दिख रहा है और 8 और लोग जो सूचना मिली है अभी भी अंदर ट्रैप्ड हैं, तो हमारी टीम रेस्क्यू वर्क पर लगी हुई है.
And for more news from across the nation, let's go nationwide. The Supreme Court on Friday upheld the maintainability of the appeals filed by Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Kerala against the 2007 award of the Kaveri Water Dispute Tribunal. A 3-judge bench headed by Justice Deepak Misra said that all the appeals filed by the southern states against the tribunal's award are maintainable. Now, the centre had asserted that the apex court had no jurisdiction to hear appeals against the award of the tribunal. Around 300 out of the 1,400 tourists stranded in the 2 islands of Andaman due to cyclonic weather were rescued on Friday. The Navy, Coast Guard and Union Territory Administration have jointly undertaken a major evacuation drive. Now, 2 Coast Guard ships are also stationed at Havelock Island to evacuate the stranded tourists. 4 other naval ships were also pressed into service in the operation that began in full swing as the weather gradually improved. The Delhi High Court on Friday restored the copyright suit brought by international publishers against a Delhi University photocopy shop. Well, the photocopy shop has been directed to maintain records of course packs photocopied and also supplied by it and submit 6 monthly statements to the court. The bench, however, did not restrain the shop from selling course packs to students during the time that issues are finally settled through the trial process. Let's now get to the big international story. Well, South Korean lawmakers on Friday voted overwhelmingly to impeach President Park Geun-hye over a corruption scandal. Now, the vote needs to be affirmed by the country's constitutional court. Park has refused to resign, saying that she will wait for the court to rule. Now, her duties have been assumed by Prime Minister Hwang Kyo-ahn on an interim basis. Now, if impeached, Park would be the country's first elected leader to be pushed from office in disgrace.
대통령 박근혜 탄핵 소추안은 가결되었음을 선포합니다.
South Korea's parliament has voted to impeach President Park Geun-hye. The vote passed by 234 votes to 56, more than 2/3 the majority required for impeachment. The country's constitutional court will now deliberate the motion, a process that could take 6 months. Acting Prime Minister Hwang Kyo-ahn will hold the post for the duration of the court's deliberation.
저는 국회와 국민의 목소리를 엄중하게 받아들이고 있으며 지금의 혼란이 잘 마무리되기를 진심으로 바라고 있습니다.
The result of the vote was expected. Park has faced terrible approval ratings and massive protests since it emerged that her confidant and advisor Choi Soon-sil had access to confidential government documents despite holding no official government position. Choi also allegedly used her relationship with Park to accumulate millions of dollars in donations to her foundations. President Park denied wrongdoing but apologized for her carelessness in her ties with her friend. Meanwhile, thousands of South Koreans took to the streets to celebrate the news.
탄핵 표기를 하는 데 있어서 가결이 꼭 됐으면 좋겠다고 생각을 했었는데 이렇게 가결이 되어서 국민들의 뜻이 받들어졌다고 생각하고 정말 역사적 순간에 중심이 있었다는 것에 좀 뿌듯하고 앞으로 국정 운영을 하는 데 있어서 좀 더 민주적으로 사람들의 뜻이 반영되어서 이런
기가 막힌 일들이 벌어졌는데 누가 이제 또 아직 헌재도 있지만은 뭐 국민의 힘을 보여줬으니까 통과될 것 같고 누가 되든지 뭐 조용히 차분히 좋은 나라, 정의로운 나라가.
If court upholds the impeachment, Park would become the first sitting South Korean president to be deposed. In that case, a new election will be held within 60 days. The first female president of South Korea, Park's 5-year term was set to end in February 2018. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
On to some cricket news now. Well, India ended day 2 of the 4th test in Mumbai at a score of 146 for 1, trailing England by 254 runs after the visitors ended their first innings at 400 runs. Murli Vijay and Chiteshwar Pujara led India's response with an unbeaten 107-run partnership for the second wicket after opener KL Rahul was bowled by Moeen Ali for 24 runs. Earlier, late assault by Jos Buttler helped England put up a big total. Now, Buttler was involved in a 54-run 9th wicket stand with the Jacob ball that frustrated Indian bowlers. For India, R. Ashwin picked up 2 more wickets today to finish with the 6 for 112, while Ravindra Jadeja picked up 4 wickets as the 2 spinners completed the 10 wickets between them.
Gather his thoughts and he'll go.
More sporting action in Sports Beat. The Supreme Court today adjourned the hearing on the issue of BCCI's stand on Lodha panel recommendations to 14th of December. The hearing was adjourned in view of the many pending cases before the court. In its last hearing on 21st of October this year, the Supreme Court had asked the Lodha committee to appoint an independent auditor to scrutinize the grant of contracts by the BCCI. A latest WADA report has said that 1,000 Russian athletes competing in summer, winter and Paralympic sports were involved in or benefited from an institutional conspiracy to conceal positive doping tests. A report by sports lawyer Richard McLaren provided more details of the elaborate state-sponsored doping scheme operated by Russia. It said there was a systematic cover-up with more than 30 sports, including soccer, were involved in concealing positive doping samples. Henrik Mkhitaryan scored his first Manchester United goal to set up a 2-0 win over Zorya Luhansk as the Jose Mourinho side reached the last 32 of the Europa League. Zlatan Ibrahimovic scored the second goal as the Premier League club went in second place behind Fenerbahce, who won 1-0 at Feyenoord. Well, that's all in this edition of news, but news and updates continue on Rajya Sabha TV. Thanks for watching. Good night. Thank you.